Yeah, I
Yikes.
listened to your rant. You
Here we
went
go.
very chippish in your rant.
Knoll Nation, what's going on, man? We have a great episode for you guys. Today we have basically the whole Spearatics crew with us. Chris Frazier, the man over there at Spearatics.com. We've got one of his co-hosts down here with us, Chip Westerly of Unconquered 850, the brilliant Facebook group over there. Of course, we've got my girl with me, JenNole 2013 representing, and James Coleman will probably join us here in a little bit. What's going on, guys? Thanks for joining, man. It's hate week. We're finally here. It sure flew by in an instant, but week 13, game number 12. It's time for the whole 18 believe movement.
Yeah,
Everybody
fuck.
buy their shirts?
Yeah, fuck Florida.
Yeah,
I can't say that right.
yeah. We don't let anything hang out in this here platform. We try to be not too ridiculous, but yeah, the fucks they fly from time to time, especially on hate week. So we'll go ahead and let that known off the beginning. This one probably won't be exactly safe for work if you got little bitty kids. Put their earmuffs on. We're gonna have a lot of fun with this because it's usually fuck Miami, fuck Miami, but this time of year it's all about Florida and that ugly orange and green jort wearing fan base down there in Gainesville. And we've got a lot of storylines, man, a lot of stuff to talk about. Obviously, we lose Jordan Travis last week. He's been in super high spirits. We've seen all kind of great stuff, media coming out of the different players, visiting him in the hospital, and just him coming out with a whole line of short shirts to support Tate Rodemaker. And with the proceeds going to him, it's super cool. Just really excited to get down there and really show these guys what's up in Gainesville. It seems like the Gators have been kind of quiet, for a long time, and all of a sudden Jordan Travis goes down. They really think they got a shot at this victory, but I don't see it happening. I think the spread's at 6.5. How do you guys see it? What do you think, Chris?
You want me to go straight to a score prediction?
No, I'm not asking. I'm just
I mean, I
just
can.
saying,
I'm just
man.
asking what you want.
No, we'll do the predictions at the end.
6.5.
Just, I guess, your biggest storylines. What are you thinking? What's the thing you're looking at the most right here? Go ahead and
My favorite thing is that Florida has hope. That's my favorite part of it. Here's the issue, and it's everybody says the trenches wins the games, and I don't deny that. But backfields are just as important to me, and Florida's backfield against our wide receiver core is going to be funny. Like it's not going to work for them too well. Tate can put the ball anywhere he needs to, so I'm not worried about how we score. Not worried about how Florida scores. I think that they're going to try to run with their quarterback because we've struggled with it in the past. But I think we can contain him. If we can contain Daniels, we can contain him. He's not a better athlete than Daniels is at LSU. He's not a better athlete than that kid that was at Boston College. And both of them had way more experience as far as playing in this game. This kid's a good athlete. I'm not going to say that he's terrible, but he's also a redshirt freshman. It's kind of – I like that they have hope. I think it's awesome. But that's – I think Florida State with not – I don't think they give two shits about falling one spot because that doesn't matter. Norvell even said it. He's not going to have a conversation with his team about dropping. So it's just going to motivate them to do what they need to do even more. And I think they're going to show out in Gainesville. I just don't see it being as close of a game as everybody else is saying it's going to be. I don't see it.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think the line was 6.5 the last time I looked at it. Or it was 14.5, before Jordan went down and it dropped, I believe, to a touchdown or less. I think it'll probably be around 8 or 9 points by the time the game gets here, and that's somewhere in that vein. But you brought up the playoff committee. That probably should have been the first thing I led with there. Of course, like we kind of all figured, we dropped to number 5 with Washington getting that win over, I believe it was number 22 Oregon State or number 18, something like that. So they had another quality win. But like we've been preaching, guys, everybody out there, don't worry. Michigan plays Ohio State. Oregon has to play Washington again. Everything will work out. I think no matter what, as long as you go undefeated, you're in the playoff. But at the same time, it's a talking point everybody wants to know. And every little bit of, kind of real estate matters if the worst case scenario comes and you have all 5 undefeateds. What do you think, Chip? Do you think that there's kind of like any consequences to us dropping to 5 today, or if it's just, like we've talked about, just kind of a TV product?
No, it's just the Paul Feinbaum guys that like to, sneak off and go blow their cousin. This is what they like to do. They like to hate on Florida State. They like to, basically, this is just punishment for Jordan Travis getting hurt. Now, granted, Jordan Travis, represents our university. Like he's our modern day Charlie Ward, everything. But dude, you don't punt like you act like that's the only star we have on the team. The defense is slap full of stars. The offense is slap full of stars and playmakers. I mean, it's a fucking joke. It pissed me off when that was the first thing that the talking heads from ESPN wanted to go to as soon as Jordan got hurt. Well, we're on, like Tate hasn't proved that. Like I said last night in last night's show, Tate walks on the field like he's got the biggest cock in the room. And I'll be honest with you, I think he probably does, especially against any of those freaking douchebag lot lizards from Gainesville.
He's that dude, man. He's got all these dancing TikToks out there, man. The dude just has a good time. People, they see a young guy, but it's like we've had Jordan Travis here starting for the past 3 years. The dude is a fifth-year guy. He'll be a fifth-year guy next year. Right now, he's a redshirt junior. I mean, yeah, I agree with you 100%. And I think pretty much we've all been in agreement that he's probably going to end up being that guy next year, and we just get it a little bit earlier, and I can't wait to see it. One thing
your listeners will learn about me is I'm very plain spoken. I won't mince words, and I'll use a lot of colorful shit when I have to.
Yeah, the comments are loving it, man. We appreciate it, man. We want all different flavors in here. I'd be remiss not to mention my girl Jen. What's going on, Jen? Thanks for joining us. What did you think about us dropping? I know you kind of pretty much called it. You said it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And you have a guy like Kurt up there making a case for what me and you went back and forth for like 20 minutes on the post-game show. Florida State basically going undefeated and not getting in. So are you still, thinking the same there? You think they're going to try and leave us out, or how are you feeling after you've seen us
I'm
drop?
sorry. I don't mean to keep coughing. My bad. But that's why I'm sitting here drinking my coffee or whatever. But actually, I don't think that the committee will end up leaving them out if they go undefeated. But what you knew was going to happen was the ESPN guys starting to try and make that case. Because they were trying to make that case even before Jordan got hurt. They made it on College Game Day that day. They said it that day. So now all of a sudden they're like, well, now that Jordan's hurt, they're trying to change their narrative that they already propagated on College Game Day that day before Jordan ever got hurt. And that's fine. Y'all can make your lies up, but Florida State at 13-0 is not getting left out. These Alabama fans, SEC fans, Paul Feinbaums of the world can get their panties in a wad all they want to, but Florida State brings eyeballs. Washington doesn't. So a one-win Washington or one-loss Washington is not getting in over Florida State. You can just forget it if they end up losing to Oregon. And again, with Oregon, I do think they're a great team. We all have eyeballs. We've seen them play. But the fact that they're actually the top-rated one loss when they have beat nobody. They don't have the resume to match up with any other one-loss team except for having like a really good loss. That's what they're hanging their hats on. But yet everybody talks about Florida State. Yeah, and everybody talks about Florida State. So, okay, that's fine. Florida State lost their quarterback. Their schedule apparently isn't great now because before, LSU was really good, but LSU gets used as a nice win for the reason for Ole Miss is ranked. Miss me with all this stuff. We know what's going on. All these things, like Tennessee still being ranked, is to prop up Georgia's resume. That's it.
Yeah.
They have 4 losses, and they have beat nobody.
Yeah, at least they finally put Clemson, and I will give them that. At least Clemson made it up in the polls. But yeah, Tennessee does not deserve to be there at all. Also, before we get too much into the matchup and all the different matchups with Florida, another thing popped up. One of our favorite subjects on the timeline here the past couple days, conference realignment is back in the news again. If you follow Spearatics right here, the Renegade Report, most of the time we've been Big Ten, proponents of the Big Ten. Chris and James were on the story like a year before anybody. Florida State's been behind the scenes getting ready for their requirements for the AAU, even though that's not a requirement for the Big Ten. And they came out and said so much in a press release kind of around the time that Florida State was in the news. AD Michael Alford came out and pretty much said, and I think it was a BOT meeting and a different press conference, pretty much told the world, look, we cannot stay in the ACC. We cannot be losing 30, 40, $50 million a year in revenue off TV just in that one position year after year. And it ended up didn't happen. We passed the date this year when you had to kind of put your name in to be in a new conference by 2024. But I myself, along with others, have kind of thought all along it would be 25 or 26. And now there's some murmurs, behind the scenes. And with Chris as kind of the realignment expert among us, we'll let him go first. Is there anything that people need to know? I know you stay on top of this thing. That you can say. I know there's only so much you can say when it comes to these things without.
Well, I'll give people the rumors first as far as what's going on. First and foremost, there's a lot of people that think there's something coming out tomorrow about it. I can't confirm or deny that, but I can say that it wouldn't surprise me at all if it comes out tomorrow. But a lot of people are confused. They think we're not going to leave until 2026. Florida State will not play in a – hold me to it. And y'all can all unfollow me if you want to. Florida State will not play in the ACC conference in 2025. It will not happen. I don't care what anybody tells you, or I don't care what comes out as far as ESPN says or anybody else. They will not play the ACC conference in 2025. I know that for a fact. A lot of people want to see us go to the SEC because they think the travel is better. Well, the travel is not worth $22.5 million a year. What I mean by that is the Big Ten is going to pay us $22.5 million more than what the SEC would. The SEC is going to make us wait 5 years before we get fully invested. The Big Ten will not. And then on top of that, when you're part of the AAU, you will receive $500 and something billion a year in research money for the rest of the university. So it makes no sense for you to want to go to the SEC other than ESPN has – look, guys, I don't know if you watch CNN. I don't care if you watch Fox. I don't care which ones you watch. Their job is to tell you all the exact same things so that that's what you know. Being misinformed is being informed. That's what ESPN has done to listeners for decades. It's to push their narrative and where you want to go watch it. They've told the SEC is the best conference. The SEC is the powerhouse. The SEC is this. The SEC is that. That's because that's their investment. They don't have investment in the Big Ten. They got zero. So they're not going to talk up the ACC. They're not going to talk up the Big Ten. Now, they were supposed to talk up the ACC, but the ACC network has lost them money every physical year that it's been here. So they're not going to talk about it. They're not going to say the ACC does anything good. They're a basketball conference, blah, the fuck, blah. So I would also do the same thing if I was ESPN, control the narrative. Well, what's our best seller? The SEC. That's what we're going to promote. I'm going to leave the rest of this shit alone because I'm losing money on it. Now, Florida State and Clemson has made them money as far as individual games go, but that's what gets them close to breaking even as far as what those two teams do. And that's only on the ACC side. So Miami has been a complete letdown to the ACC ever since they joined 22 years ago. They're a joke. Can't help it. So it would not surprise me if something said tomorrow, but all that matters is that 2025 you're not playing in that conference and you're elsewhere and making the money that the school deserves.
I love to hear it. And one of the points somebody brought up on the spaces, it's not like, I mean, if you stay in the ACC, they're adding SMU, they're adding Cal, they're adding all these other teams, Stanford. So even if you stayed in the SEC every other year, or probably once a year, you're headed out the West Coast to play a Cal or a Stanford or SMU or one of these teams. So, I mean, why not travel in the Big Ten? If you're going to be traveling to California in the damn ACC with all the issues that Chris lined out, and here's my thing. Here's what I tell people all the time. Man. When you get into these major corporations, Fortune 500 companies, people operating business at the highest level, like one of the biggest things that money goes into, like half of all the expenses of the entire thing will go into advertising, marketing, and stuff like that. And the SEC, with the help of guys like ESPN, but also just having great commissioners, for the past 30 years, they have pushed that. They've won the titles, which helps too. They've had 2 or 3 top teams year in, year out. So that's helped them. But they've just done an amazing job at marketing. Okay, and regardless if SEC has won, the ACC has done so far on the polar opposite that even though we're second and third, and I say we, hopefully no more than a year. It's not going to be we anymore, but the ACC is actually second or third when you want to look at draft picks, titles, All-Americans, all these different things. So, get us the hell out of there. And, the problem with the SEC is just exactly what Chris was just talking about too, is they're tied up with the ACC. I feel like the Big Ten is just way freer when it comes to making their bids and having packages for Florida State with no conflicting interests whatsoever. They just all out to go out and get at FSU and Clemson when SEC has in-state teams that are going to cause issues and everything else. So, I can't wait. I love the fact that you're so confident that it'll be next year because let's get that announcement in by next year.
So are you saying that the ACC network spending time promoting women's lacrosse is not really working out? Is that where we're going? Okay.
Yeah, it's nuts, the programming, like when they first launched that thing. It's just like unreal. It was shortly after the national championship by Florida State. It was like you said, it was all lacrosse and women's basketball and stuff. Which is women's basketball, we love it. We'll support the Florida State women's basketball team, but the numbers are there. Even when Florida State's down, year in, year out, they move the needle. They make the numbers. They make the bacon. They bring it home, and it's apparent. This season, as always, Florida State just moves the needle. It's the reason you have Van Wilders and the program and all these different kind of Hollywood incantations of what a college football party school is. Who do they use every time? It's always Florida State.
When you're on the ACC network and your premier commercial is My Pillow 2.0, it's not doing nothing. It doesn't. And then the games that are played there, hell, let's be honest. The CW has gotten a better ACC game, even though it wasn't ACC versus ACC. They've gotten a better ACC game than the ACC has in 2 years. It's just not. It's not good. It's sad. And a lot of people in the comments were saying, you don't understand how Florida State's going to leave without an actual destination. All I can tell you is if you don't think that they have a destination,
they do.
You're not paying any attention to what's going on. That's all I can say. You're putting blinders on and saying we're not leaving. And that no athletic director comes out publicly in a meeting for the entire board and says we can't stay here if they don't have somewhere to go. And look, this is out there. I'm not saying something that people shouldn't know. You just may not because you don't pay attention. But for the last 3 years, we have sent Florida State players, and we're the only ACC team to do so. We have sent Florida State players to the Big Ten walk. Why? For what reason? No one else does it. The SEC don't send anyone. The Pac-12 doesn't send anyone. No one else sends players to there. And then this year, Miami sent a couple to the Big Ten. UVA sent a couple to the Big Ten. North Carolina sent a couple to the Big Ten. We sent 8. I don't know what else to tell you. It's all written right there. You also got to pay attention to where Michael Alford came from. Michael Alford's best friends with the majority of the members of the Big Ten Conference. Then you hire, it's kind of simple, but you go and hire the president from Harvard who knows how to get the AAU membership. Not that you need it to be in the Big Ten, but it helps because you want the $500 million in research money. Florida State's that close to getting it. You don't have to be in the Big Ten to get AAU membership. There's plenty of SEC schools and ACC schools that have it. Miami just got it this year. But Florida State is this close. It's all written right in front of you, but if the only thing you look at is what's going on the field, or on the court or on the diamond, you're not paying attention to what the university is doing as far as they're making moves, who they're talking to, who's coming and visiting, where they're going to visit. And then you're sending players to – it doesn't make any sense to do that if you're not trying to go to that specific conference. And then to top it off, it's just a – it was a bidding war, let's be honest, between the SEC and the Big Ten. The SEC thinks they're too big for their own good. So it wasn't hard for the Big Ten to say, well, we won't make you wait, and you're going to make $22 million more a year for the next 5 years. Well, it's not in question where you go at that point. Money talks and bullshit walks. That's the SEC. So to me, it's not hard, but y'all can look it up for yourself.
I mean,
Dude, it's like go ahead, Jen.
Oh no, I was just going to say, and people don't understand that Nebraska is not AAU, and so everybody's like, well, it's not going to be the Big Ten because Florida State isn't accredited, and it's well, Nebraska isn't either. So you're kind of putting blinders on because you have this SEC like gold in your eyes. And I'm sorry, give me the Big Ten all day, every day. I'll take it.
It's like knowing your girl's cheating on you. Every sign is there. You go get up in the morning, go use the bathroom. You put the toilet seat up. There's a note underneath the toilet seat. Hey man, sorry I banged your girlfriend last night.
Yeah, if you think y'all are getting married and everything's hunky dory, you've got blinders on. You're being quite naive, and that's how it is with this AAU thing. The leadership walk, like Chris was talking about. Yeah, you just keep telling people it's Big Ten, and hopefully, along the rumors things, if there's an announcement, that'd be great. But as long as we hear it before, whenever it is, I believe it's sometime either right before the season or right after the season starts, you have to put in, to be able to play for the following season. As long as we don't miss that deadline, I'll be happy, and we'll be good to go in 2025 in our new conference, whether it be the SEC or the Big Ten. But again, we have all of our money on the Big Ten. And now, kind of to what's at hand. It's hate week. It's all about hell with Florida. Let's start off with Florida State offense versus Florida defense. Florida hires, they get them a new defensive coordinator. They like to run a little bit of 4-3, a little bit of 3-4, middle field close coverage. The word creeper gets thrown around, which is a 5-man front, which is a little different than a 4-man front. Austin Armstrong, he's going to have his guys ready. But I want to hear what everybody thinks about Tate Rodemaker versus defense. I can't wait to see it. I think he's going to tear them up. I think Florida kind of has a thing going on similar to what we had last year, but even a worse situation because they're just so young in that they have a good kind of first run of defense is okay. But after that, when they get into depth, I mean, it's real trouble. And anybody can go first. But what y'all think about that Florida State offense versus that Swiss cheese?
Florida's going to throw a lot of different fronts at Tate. But what Florida State's going to do to counteract that is they're going to establish control at the line of scrimmage. They're going to run Trey Benson, LT, and Keziah straight down their throats. And they're going to take the pressure off Tate and allow Tate to go a little bit of play action with the RPO. They're not going to make Tate run, but Tate will be a willing runner. And what they'll do is just they'll keep Florida's defense off balance. And that's not a good sign, especially when Tate's out there throwing dimes. And if anybody didn't see it last week or you got any thoughts that Tate might not be able to do this, obviously you haven't been watching since after the Louisville game, since the second half of the Louisville game last year. That kid went out there throwing dimes.
Yeah.
That was great. Yeah.
I wanted to answer this question real quick before we keep talking about this because Karen Herzog was wanting to know. As far as getting out of the league, it's not like it matters which one. It just there is a fee that Florida State will have to go through to get out of the ACC grant of rights. It's not like it'd be more if you went to the SEC or more for the Big Ten. It's just what offer we're getting, how much money we're getting from them. That's the only question. But yeah, I agree with you, Chip, 100%, man. I'm so excited, and I think for sure they'll run the hell out of the ball. And, we've talked about it a lot too. People don't realize Tate, he's a hell of an athlete. Like, he's going to pull it probably more than what Jordan has. Jordan being so, old and being more just wanting to throw the ball and just all about health. I mean, he's starting out the last game of the year heading into championship season. So he's going to let it all hang out. He really loves that RPO game like Chip was talking about. Keziah Holmes is one guy that you mentioned that I really love, that I wanted to see more and more snaps of. So I'm hoping we get to see a good 10 to 15 carries out of him in this game.
I was just going to say one thing about that one question that you just read. I think that most people think that if Florida State could get in the SEC, that ESPN would help them out with those parental rights, which is not happening. So I think that's why that question comes up, because they think, is it going to cost less money if you go to the SEC? I think that's where that's coming from, is just from that narrative. That anyway, that's all I had to say.
I'm going to give 2 quick points on this real quick. Step 1, sue Florida State if you want to. They're a state facility. They have a law here that says that you can only sue them for up to $250,000 to fucking go at it. Step two, how you get out of this. Next year, when the SEC starts paying their teams 80-something million a year, the Big Ten starts paying something around 98 to 101. Now the contract of the ACC has been breached between them and every team that's in it. Their contracts are meant to do nothing but be broken.
Yep.
That's what a contract is. It's meant to be broken. So I would, as a Florida State leaves this son of a bitch and don't pay a dime to them, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Not at all. Because they
honestly, Fox wants Florida State. That's why the whole Big Ten thing is in there in the first place. That's where it's coming from. People can talk about ESPN all you want to, but guess who has more money? I hate to break this news to people, but it's Fox. And Fox wants those eyeballs so bad, they can't stand it. And
without a doubt.
And to go into
this new Big Ten is going to change the game. That's going to be huge.
And going to Florida, as far as the Florida State's offense, everybody's worried that Florida's got a defensive line that's going to give us problems. Their defensive line's not better than Clemson's. Their defensive line's not better than Miami's. You can go look at the grade yourself if you're a statistic person, but it's quite different. Secondary is not anywhere near any of the teams that we actually have played this year. If you want to know the truth about it, the secondary for North Alabama ranks higher than the secondary for the University of Florida. Linebackers are pretty good, but they're still not Clemson, and they're still not Miami. They still aren't LSU. Like, LSU gets a big hit because their secondary is so bad, but the rest of that defense is really good. As far as the front, I'd say 6, front 4 maybe. But the one DB that comes down or safety that comes down, he's a joke. But other than that, what Florida State's offense is going to be able to do, because everybody keeps talking about the wrinkles that Florida's going to throw at Florida State. Here's the problem. You watch Tate Rodemaker 2 times in the past couple of years play meaningful snaps, once against Louisville, second against North Alabama, which was a Saturday. Here's the problem. Neither one of those are a Tate Rodemaker game plan. He's just running the plays that were given to that team as far as Jordan Travis's plan, as far as how they were going to win the game. So all he did was run the offense the exact same way that Jordan was going to run it. Now, people want to say that it's not going to change much, but it will. It will drastically change. The RPO is going to be back in full-fledged. You're going to see more of a combo package on the offensive line. They're going to control the line of scrimmage purposely so that they can run the ball. And then when you run the ball, like Chip said, it takes the pressure off of Tate. Then they have to bring more men in the box to stop the run. And then, therefore, their DBs are on an island with 2 of the best wide receivers in the country, and then Tate picks them apart. That's what I'm saying. Florida doesn't have anything besides a bunch of big words that they use. They run multiple fronts. They've got a 5-man front. They've got a 4-man front. They run 4-2-5. They run 3-3-2, blah, 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 blah. That guy doesn't run any of that shit effectively. I don't care if you run all of them. If you don't do it effectively, it doesn't work. That's why they're getting their asses beat by whoever they play. Now, they might be close because their offense is playing against defenses that don't respect them, but the nature behind that doesn't matter. Florida State's going to play them like they're the best team in the country because of what they've got to prove. So it's just, to me, it's not in question on which team's better when you line it up. If you do matchups, it doesn't get any better for Florida. If you do based off of what scores have been made per week in and week out, Florida State has outscored them by 700 and think it's 713 points offensively, and then they've outscored them 45 points to 13 on defense. So it's a big difference. There's a big gap between these two teams, but it is a rival. But I still don't think it's close. Miami should have been way more respected than what maybe some gave them because their offensive line's good, their defensive line's good, their corners are better than Florida's. It's just not the same. It's not going to be the rival that we just saw. It's just not the same team. We're playing against their defensive coordinator is a fucking idiot. It's just I gotta say it.
Trying to be respectful, dude. Just let him have it, Chris. It is what it is.
He's a complete fucking idiot. They've got their best defensive tackle is going to be out. Their best corner is going to be out. One of their best wide receivers.
Cameron is out. The dude from Memphis.
Who?
The dude from Memphis is out.
Yeah. I mean, they're not saying it, but he is.
He is.
And the other problem is you got one of their best wide receivers. I think is going to be able to pick on Ronaldo Green. Well, go fucking figure. Ronaldo Green's not covering him, even if he's playing. They're on the opposite side of the field from each other. You dipshits. This isn't how this lines up. Like you're like, well, they're going to put so and so on this guy. We don't move guys. They stay on their side of the field. We don't go back and forth. We want our guys to cover who they cover. It don't make a fuck where they line up. So we don't change shit like that. Our guys get put on islands all the time. We don't. That's why you see a burnt play against Miami. Really, it was someone took a bad angle on the play. Okay, shit happens. But if you think 7 points is going to win this game, you've lost your mind. It doesn't matter. We're going to let you stick with us in the first 22 minutes of the game, and then they're going to start rolling it over on you because once the second half adjustments are made by the defense, I don't know if the offense even gets past the 50 again, unless we do an onside kick and give it to you. Other than that, you're hopeless. I mean, y'all have hope right now because thank God Jordan's out because he's killed us the past 2 years. Well, now it's going to be, fuck this Tate kid's going to kill us again next year. Like we got to be honest about it. There's not – if people say that Florida has showed progression this year, you're full of shit. They have stayed exactly where they were from last year, if not worse, because they've showed no improvement in coaching. Their offense is very bland. Their defense has got a guy that just says a bunch of big words together and doesn't know what he's doing. So I hope Florida's ready because I think it's going to be quite fun to watch Florida State smear their asses in their home field because they think that's a big advantage for them. And I've been to that fucking shitty ass place multiple times. There's nothing to gripe as far as y'all say our bathrooms were bad. All right.
Oh my God.
You say that your concessions are better. Y'all ran out of every food product that you had. As a matter of fact,
smells awful. I'm sorry. I'm done. Like with Gainesville, it smells awful. Chris, you're from Memphis. You've been to Pickwick, correct? Okay. The paper mill, when you get to Pickwick, that's what Gainesville smells like. Nobody can tell me that I'm wrong about that.
No, it's
rotten eggs.
Yeah, it's really sad. Even the parking lot or how you park. It's insane. I mean, y'all, they just last year fixed how the players could park at their own fucking field. And we're talking about I had to. Here, I'm gonna be honest with you. The guy told me, he's like, "Hey man, $10 to park, $20 to watch your car." I was like, "To watch my car?" He said, "If you want to have tires when you get back, I need to watch the car." I was like, "Well, either he's bullshitting me or he's gonna take the tires if I don't give him $20. So fuck it, I'll give him $20."
Well, Chris,
no, he ain't bullshitting you.
Being from Memphis, you should have been used to that. To be honest,
I was, but I didn't expect Gainesville to be that shitty. I didn't. I thought the way that they all talked it up for the first time that I was coming, I was expecting, hey, this is going to be like Tallahassee 2.0, and I get there and I'm like, shit, I'm at the Liberty Bowl, but even the Liberty Bowl's got better parking than this shit. It was just the truth.
Lord have mercy.
So,
Chris, I live in Germantown, and straight up the other morning at 8:45, somebody tried to break through my gate in Germantown, Tennessee.
Didn't used to be there.
No,
Germantown.
Irvin Williams says, hasn't Florida's defense given up 1,200 yards in two games? Yes, I believe so. I know they give up 700 just last week. They've got a bunch of guys they're really proud or were early in the season of a guy like Princeton. Princely Unamelian, or however you say it. And, like, he's a good pass rusher. Everything is perfect, and he gets to like 3rd and long, just get run off the edge. But like Chip and Chris alluded to, if you run it at him, oh my God, I mean, you can just tear him up, and he's gonna lay down. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that offense. It's gonna it's gonna be an absolute advantage Florida State there. But Jen, did you have something to say before we went to the
I did. I just wanted to comment on the game myself because unfortunately, you know, I like to go watch things so that you guys don't have to. So I did rewatch the Florida-Missouri game. Do we know about the offensive line guys that went down? Because last I heard, they were not going to play.
They're both not playing. I don't know their names, but one of them's their starting guard. The other one's
Yeah.
tackle.
Okay. So Florida's bad. They are not great. I do love that Wilson wide receiver, though. I think he's really good.
Florida State next year.
Probably. That's, I mean, you know, come on.
Boy, they would
Come on over. Come on over.
That's
We'd love to have you.
I bet ETN will end up leaving too, and it's either Florida State or Clemson.
I mean, yeah, it's not going to be Clemson because, unless Dabo leaves and they get another coach that will get in the transfer portal.
But claiming Florida,
biggest thing is that
claiming Florida's got at times a good defense is like claiming you're the smartest kid with Down syndrome. It's not possible.
It's I was told all year that this was baby Kirby. I was told baby Kirby is going to just blow up, you know, the whole the SEC. They're going to be ranked. They're going to, you know, win all these games. I'm still waiting on baby Kirby to show up. Florida is just bad. And honestly, I also listened to other Florida shows today to try and like figure out what they're saying. Apparently, their backup is so great. He's going to open up their offense so big that they're going to do so well. And like Florida State doesn't even know, there's nothing on film for this kid. And so when I asked the question to this dude, I was like, okay, well, if he's so good, why hasn't he been starting all year? Because then you wouldn't be fighting for bowl eligibility if he's this good and opens your offense up. And he's like, oh, well, I mean, that's just a dumb question. Is it? Is that a dumb question?
No, there's no film on him because obviously he wasn't as good as fucking Mertz. And Mertz is fucking average at best.
Yeah, I mean, they try to act like, oh, y'all said he was going to be the worst in the SEC. Well, yeah, he was one of the worst backs or quarterbacks in all the Big Ten. So he comes to the SEC. We didn't realize y'all's defense was that garbage that he was going to look like one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. That's just what it comes down to.
I will say that I do think that offense has schemed some stuff up for Graham Mertz that just honestly makes him comfortable. And that's where he feasts, you know? I mean, I do think he's been surprisingly good. I'm not trying to say anything good about Florida. I mean, his arm isn't great. But I do think he's played.
He's kept a check down.
Yes. So he really has done better than what I kind of thought he was going to do. But at the end of the day, I don't understand their hope. I think, I understand our frustration on our side, but like their hope of saying, oh, well, Jordan Travis is out. We're going to win this game, you know, blah, blah, blah. We'll get bowl eligible, all this stuff. And I'm like, but don't you have a backup quarterback? Oh, no, our backup quarterback's really good. And I'm like, well, then why wasn't he playing? Because y'all are like losing every game you play. So if he's so good, where has his minutes been? I'm legit asking. I'm just asking the question.
If he was good, there would have been a package for him. If he was good, they would have got him in games during times as a change of pace. The fact is, he's a fucking freshman. Am I right, Chris? Is he a freshman?
Redshirt freshman.
I mean, he's actually pretty athletic, though. I mean, I'm not going to take that from him. I'm not trying to down the kid. I don't know. I think you're right, though. I mean, he's just a freshman. So anyway, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
fuck, I'm 45 and I still think I'm pretty athletic, and that's a fucking joke.
Yeah, look, he's a backup for a reason. The backup quarterback is always, kind of that most popular guy on the team. It just is what it is. Look, Florida's problem has not been their defense. Their offense. It has been the defense. Their problem has not been the offense. They've been able to move the ball pretty good. But yeah, you're coming in with a redshirt freshman. Can he pull it and run it? Yeah, he's going to probably give us some problems, especially early, pulling the ball, whatever Billy schemes up in the run game. He'll have some shit schemed up for him, no doubt. But what do we have in Tallahassee? We have Adam Fuller, who's one of the very best coordinators in all of the country at adjusting. So we're going to adjust to that run game. And when we adjust to that run game and get all the gaps filled up and shut that down, is he going to be able to move the ball deep, just like I talked about ad nauseum heading to the LSU game with Jaden Daniels? And Jaden Daniels, he is not. So I don't see him being able to hit the plays through the air that he needs to make against one of the top 5 secondary in the nation, if you look at all the stats.
It's really simple, man. Defensively in the first half, Florida State's going to stack the fucking box, bring 0 blitzes from all kinds of places to make this kid throw, and put your DBs on the island. We're fucking used to that. Like, it's what we do normally. So unless they start finding a way to pick us apart, it's going to be the same throw. That's why I don't even know if Florida State has to make adjustments defensively at halftime. I'll tell you the only thing that's dangerous about Florida this year, the absolute only fucking thing, and it just is going to happen. God, fuck all to lose. That's it.
Yeah.
They ain't got nothing to lose to give you everything they got. Throw every possible wrinkle, throw every possible kid. I mean, shit, at this point, Billy Napier might give up his fucking firstborn to try to win this game. But other than that, it's just they're not a offense. They're definitely not dangerous on defense. They stay in games because teams take them lightly. That's one thing I don't think Florida State does. They're not going to go in there and say, you know what? They fucking suck, so we ain't got to work that hard. Now that Jordan's down, now that they've moved us down to 5, now that everybody's talking their shit, this is where these guys are going to step up and start really throwing themselves at plays. And that's why I'm ready for it, because I think everybody's underestimating what Florida State's motivation is right now. We've got to pay them back for them keeping us on non-bowl eligible the year that we went 5-7. There were the cause of that. We got to replace that problem. We've got to make their dreams completely go undoubted, which it doesn't fucking matter because when Florida and Miami go to a bowl game, they lose any goddamn way. But the point is just don't even let them have that opportunity for the extra practice, because they will be bringing in a couple of players that can start practicing with the team. But if you look at what Florida State could potentially do is make a statement, and they need to make the statement. So usually when this team needs to do something, not just wants, but needs it, the adversity is there enough before the game even kicks off. So to me, I don't see how Florida State keeps it. My score prediction is not at 45, but it would not surprise me if we score 45 points. It wouldn't. I would be like, all right, fuck it. Maybe might as well go for 58 like we did against North Alabama. I don't care. But I think that it should be a little bit more respectable than that. Not 45-3. Now that would be fucking awesome, and I would talk shit for 3 years on it. But I don't see it happening.
No, what's like Chris said, we're gonna stack the box. We're gonna force fucking Urkel back there to try to beat us with his arm, which I don't think he's capable of.
Mm-mm.
And then, just like we did with Ibis, that fucking crane that the Hurricanes had, we're gonna sit his little ass on the casting couch, and it's time for them to get some of Fuller's D.
Yeah, the Fuller D will be in full effect come Friday night in Gainesville. I guess, they talk about the home field advantage because I guess that is the one thing they had. They got lucky and got a night game in the swamp, but that isn't going to save them. That isn't going to save them at all. And yeah, I agree with what Chris said too. When I say adjustments, now we are probably the best in the nation at halftime adjustments, but I think they'll figure that run game out before you get to halftime. It might still be the first quarter when they adjust and completely shut that bitch down. If they ever get anything going with it, just because as good as those backs are, I mean, that offensive line versus the defensive line matchup is just an item for them.
The only other thing I would add is Florida. Yeah, I think they really have this hope because of Tate coming in and everything. And as the resident Memphis girl here, born and raised, I watched Mike at Memphis for years, obviously. but Tate is the quintessential quarterback for Mike's system. I think people aren't understanding that part of not saying, I mean, losing Jordan Travis is devastating. It's devastating and it's awful. But like to just act like Tate coming in is just some freshman that you've never seen before on the field is absolutely 100% not true. Mike wanted to recruit Tate at Memphis, but he couldn't because Memphis couldn't keep up with the other offers that Tate had. And this is his, like, that is a quarterback that he watched for years, a coach's son. Mike knows him, but he knew that Jordan was just Jordan, right? I mean, that's just different. But to say he wasn't starting over Jordan because he's terrible is really lazy. It's a lazy take. And these Florida people are seriously, they're licking their chops and they really don't understand that this kid is Mike's perfect quarterback for his system, along with Brock Glenn, by the way. I'm not discounting that. But what I'm saying is he's made for it. So he could make mistakes, of course, and they could lose the game, of course. But like to just act like everything is over, it seems a little bit of a stretch for me.
Yeah, no doubt. And like we've talked about earlier, this is his game plan. Mike Norvell, again, like Fuller's one of the best defensive coordinators, especially at adjustments. Mike Norvell is one of the very best coordinators or offensive guys as far as setting up that game plan, that scripted first 20 plays. He's going to have in practice. They're going to sit down, decide, what's Tate Rodemaker's favorite plays. We already know he loves the RPO like Chip was talking about. You're going to see a ton of that. We're going to see a ton of the run game, attacking those edge guys and really wearing down that edge to where we can run it in the second half. We're going to see all that. And I think we're all in agreement there. Guys, get to thinking about your predictions. If y'all want to do some predictions, we'll pop back at the end and give our predictions before we let everybody go. We'll also see if anybody has any questions in the comments. But Jen mentioned something there we cannot have this whole show go through without mentioning, and that is recruiting. And that's another thing that's going to be major implications with this game over there in Gainesville. I'm sure they'll probably have some recruits in the stands. We can probably get some overlap there. If we can put on a good show in front of those guys. We just had a huge week with over 100 recruits for that extremely emotional game in Doak Campbell Stadium. I believe Steve Wiltfong came out today and put his crystal ball out for Kai Bates, somebody that you've heard us predict that would be at Florida State. We recently had CJ Hurd drop off the bottom of that defensive back class, so it would make perfect sense if Kai Bates were to jump on soon. But besides the obvious, what are you hearing? What are you liking? What are you thinking about the momentum for Florida State recruiting heading into Gainesville this week?
Is that directed toward me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not me because I don't get down with recruiting until pen hits paper.
So I'm just, y'all are gonna think I'm just not y'all, but the fucking people that are listening, y'all are gonna think I'm just trolling, but I'm not. The fucking truth of it is 90% of the kids that are gonna be there aren't going through the recruiting process of going to their fucking center and getting a pass, and they'd rather spend the money on the fucking tickets and just go watch on Florida State side. That is their words, not mine. The guys that are coming to the game are more so 2025. We've got 3 2024 kids that we are in the mix for that Florida's not. They're literally coming to see what Florida State looks like in 2024. That's why they're coming. They want to see what this team looks like without Jordan. Can we do what we say we can do? They believe that we can. I believe that we can. Obviously, the fucking team believes it. But that's what they want to come watch. And they want to see it done against a rival. Same way that the majority of the recruits that we're going to get flipped came to the Miami-Florida State game. Like, Miami thought that because we only beat them by 7 points that it hurt us in some fucking way. And I was like, just wait.
They sure did.
They thought it really did something for them. But it didn't. This game is not – it's not going to affect any of the 2024 recruits, even by some miracle for Florida that they was to win this game. It's not going to help them very much at all. Because then the narrative for Florida is, they beat Florida State because they had a backup quarterback, blah, blah, blah. And the team was devastated and fuck all and all that shit. So it doesn't help them anyway. The 25 kids that will be there, we've got the number 1 defensive tackle for 2025, the number 1 DB, technically safety. We've got the number 1 athlete that will be at the game for 2025. We got 2 of the top 50 linebackers for 2025 that will be there. And it would not surprise me if not one of those guys that I'm naming sits in the recruiting section of Florida. I don't see it because I've heard what they're doing. I've been told where they're sitting. So take it for what you will. Florida's a fucking dumpster fire. It is what it is. And they're shitting down their pants every game. They have opportunities to win games they shouldn't be in, and they still shit right down their fucking leg. So I'm like, when we were bad, guys, like this is what bothers me. Like, but they just lost their quarterback and they're doing what we did. Now we're trying to respect teams for going through what we went through when they shit on us nonstop for going through the shit that we did. So no, if you ask me, the difference, because I was asked this question, the difference in Miami and Florida being bad and the difference of Florida State being bad, we never disrespected them while we were bad. As far as the team goes, we didn't shit on them. Fan-wise, of course we did. But this past 2 years between me and Miami and me and Florida, as soon as I say Miami is the worst fan base, Florida says, hold my beer. The second I say Florida's gotten worse, Miami says, fuck that, we're doing it. So I got ridiculed for saying I was proud when Emory fucking Williams got hurt. But there was a reason for it. I didn't just say it because the kid got hurt. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. But when you throw a football and hit one of the smallest marching chiefs in the country and you knock her fucking hat off and you go into the locker room laughing about it, I think that's why his arm got broke. Personally, Karma's a bitch. Now, Jordan, he doesn't do any of that shit, and this happened. So, no, it's completely different. And Moral Gables down there, they can, fuck off. I really don't like those people. They are just the most delusional, shit-faced people that I've ever seen. And as far as these Gainesville fucks, I'm like, I thought that they would let Miami have it. Just let those fucking idiots have it. But no, they're saying some of the same shit that Miami was saying about us, and now they're happy because Jordan's hurt. Literally, they celebrated it. People can say what they want, but they celebrated the injury. They had a space going, so did Miami. Both of them were laughing and said, laugh, Jordan just broke his leg.
Yeah, I literally had somebody call my phone, like call the podcast phone, like, hey, is this the podcast? And proceed to troll about Jordan's injury. I really couldn't believe.
Dude, every time I listen to these Miami and Florida fans, I swear to God, I feel like I'm listening to a fucking Maury Povich baby daddy show.
Oh my goodness! Oprah's first couple years on air before she became big, when she was having to have like midget wrestling and everything else.
Yeah, she sure did. People forget that. They sure do.
5 rings.
I mean, yeah. Miami fans, they blew me up too. And let me tell you, they were like seeking out my timeline to just go post bullshit. And I was like, yeah, I'm not having it. I'm gonna air your asses out. And then I ended up blocking them when they were just so stupid. They're so stupid. I mean, they can't spell. They're all not attractive. I just don't understand. I don't get it.
Well, it's just like that Miami fan, Chris, last week to sit there and try to troll on our show. And I asked him a simple question, how his wife and my kid were. And the fucker goes, my wife's dead. I was like, well, shit, maybe that's why she was really easy.
Shit does not pull any punches, guys.
But here's the problem, though. The guy dished it out first.
Yeah.
And he hasn't been back since. So I say job well done.
Yeah, hey, you get what you ask for. You come with that energy, Chip's going to match it, and he's going to knock that ass out. I think it's hilarious. I remember the win-loss chart.
One thing people will learn. I'm a fucking CEO. We have to learn how to talk. You either fucking learn how to talk shit or you will get eaten alive.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to think I have a fucking PhD in talking shit.
Yeah, I couldn't get no shit over on her. There was no.
I get in a lot of trouble from my mouth.
Yeah. She put me in my place growing up. But yeah, Chris did his win-loss chart at the beginning of the year. I believe he had their ceiling at like 6 wins, something like that, maybe 7. Vegas, their over-under for Florida is 5.5. And all we heard all year, especially after the first month, look at all these delusional jokers. This is disrespect. This is disrespect. And then, lo and behold, here we are, week 12, about to hit the under against Florida State at home.
But,
like,
you know, they got real quiet. They got real quiet after Utah. And then they started flapping them gums after Tennessee, not realizing that Tennessee is an absolute fraud.
Yeah,
but they have those quality losses to Georgia and Alabama, though. That's what makes Tennessee so fucking good.
And what are their other losses? Because they've got 4. They've got
Florida,
4.
And I think somebody else. Sorry,
Florida, Alabama, Missouri, and Georgia. They've got 4, and they've been blown out in every single one. None of them were close. These were absolute, and believe me, I live around Tennessee fans. I cannot stand them. They are, I think they're almost as bad as Miami fans, honestly. They're so delusional. They really think it's still 1998. They haven't woken up. I don't know if they're still on the island with Tom Hanks, maybe from that movie. But like, they really think every morning they wake up and Tennessee football is like really good. And you just want to say, oh, you haven't. Like, they haven't even been relevant since before Miami was. I mean, my God. So I have to deal with these people on a daily basis. But
every time I hear Rocky Top, I want to go run as fast as I can backwards, ass naked through a fucking cornfield.
So I will say I have been a troll since I was like 20, right? I went to a UT, a Tennessee, Georgia game. My sister went to Tennessee. Ugh. So I went up there and I was like, if I sit in the student section, there is no way I'm putting on that orange. It does not work for me. It's not like, it doesn't fit with my skin palette, you know, whatever. Nobody looks good in orange. So I went to the student section, took my ticket, and I wore a red turtleneck, and they were playing Georgia. I got so booed, and I sat there and just waved at everybody and was like, hello, guys. And the Georgia fans were so nice. Yeah.
Yeah. It just never ceases to amaze the things that those folks will do. We're getting pretty late in this thing. I guess we can do some predictions. Okay. Look, I don't think we hit some crazy number like Chris was saying. Probably don't get to 45 just because of how much each side is going to want to run that football. I think we get the win. I think we end up covering the original spread. Maybe, it might end up being with a touchdown late in the fourth quarter. I don't think we just completely run off with it. But I'm looking at something in the lines of 34-17. And I guess we can stay up top. We can go Jen next, and then Chris, and then Chip.
Me? Okay, all right, I got you. I think 31-17.
31-17, yeah, that's pretty close. What do you think, Chris?
38-23 is what I've had for a long time.
38-23. Looks like we're all pretty close. Are you going to be a wild card on us, Chip? What do you got?
48-10.
48
I like
to
that.
10. That's what I'm talking about. Well, let's hope Chip is the man that has the correct take there. If y'all have, I don't know if anybody has anything they want to plug or anything before we get out of here. I'm gonna see if anybody has any questions. If y'all have any questions y'all want any of the 4 people up here to answer, make sure y'all get those questions up. We sure appreciate everybody joining. Anybody got anything?
Shit. I mean, I can plug all day if you want me to, but
I was just making sure let the people know what Spearatics has going on the rest of the week, man. Sure.
So everybody's worried that I won't be doing my regular shows because of Thanksgiving and all that shit. You're wrong. I'll be doing them. The same ones I always do at mine, but I will be on Sirius XM Thursday morning. I think it'd be 7 Eastern time, 6 Central. But I'm on some fucking ESPN something. I'll be on that show that morning. Everybody can get it on SoundCloud. Then right after that, I'm supposed to go on Jake Crane's show, which is the Crane and Company, I think is what they fucking call it.
Oh my God, superstar.
That's Thursday. No, that's Friday morning.
They've only got 100,000 subscribers.
Yeah, I mean, no big deal. It's no big deal.
I think the biggest one that I'm going on, and he's trying to make this work out, so it's not a sure thing yet, but I think he's going to work it out. I'll be on David Pollock's show that he's got now. I think I'm on that Friday at 3. He's bringing me in for the Florida State coverage, and I thought it was cool because he could have picked any fucking body that, like, player-wise, this is what he is as a former player, but he picked mine. David Pollock doesn't make a post on Twitter now without putting me in it. I don't know what I did right, but fuck it, let's roll.
That's big time.
And then Coach, I forget his name, but Coach something that he's a Florida Gator fan, but he's non-biased. He thinks we're going to beat Florida 42-13. Even with the backups, he's picking Florida State to blow them out, and he's a Florida Gator. He graduated from there, but his show will be on Saturday morning right before. He does it right before, like 4 hours before the game starts. Because his show goes for like 6 hours. He's got like, I don't know, 136,000 or something subscribers, and then I'll be on. I think Mark Rogers has got me doing something again. And then I got 2 more radio shows that I can't fucking remember. So you can find me. I'll post the shit. I can't remember all of them.
Yeah, y'all make sure y'all look up Chris. Check out Spearatics and all the different shows he does. We really appreciate you coming on here tonight.
One more thing. Kalen DeLoach is playing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Trey, that's another question that people had. Trey Benson. Has anybody heard anything? I think he's fine. They've just been limited.
He's fine.
Yeah, Trey's good.
The injury that Trey dealt with, he's been dealing with that since week 2. He just got hit in a spot that's fucking sore.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just been getting limited. No big deal. He should be in the Florida game for sure. And what I was about to say is also check out Chip Westerly. He's got an awesome Facebook group called Unconquered 850. Make sure y'all go give him a subscription.
Oh, you do?
Join that group. And if you've got anything else, Chip, let the folks know. Plug it now.
Starting as soon as the season's over, me and the guy that I created Unconquered 850 with, a good friend of mine, Hunter Richmond, we're going to be starting a weekly podcast called Chop Talk, and we are going tonight to talk to the third person to be on the show with us. So, and we plan on interviewing. We plan on interviewing college athletes. It doesn't matter if they went to Florida State or they went to a different university, but we will keep it Florida State Central. But I mean, we want to give everybody a taste of what other athletes went through and their stories.
I like that.
I love it. I love that side of like actually getting to interview and let these guys. Like I think I had James on really early on, and he got to tell his story. It's not something that these guys get to do a lot often. It's usually, talking about whatever the big story is going on now or whatever's happening with Florida State, particularly at that moment. So that'll be a lot of fun. I'm sure I'll get to join y'all over there at some point. And we appreciate you having you on and everything else. JenNole, obviously, we love Jen. She's thinking about starting a YouTube channel. If you want to let everybody know your Twitter or what you have planned. Now's the time.
Well, I do have some clips that I am going to put out either tonight or in the morning. I listen to these shows so you guys don't have to. And it's super fun and entertaining, but it can be a lot of work. But because you have to sit there and listen to that garbage. And it's really bad. Surprisingly, one show was actually worse than I really thought it was going to be. I'm going to release it in a little bit. And then I do have a clip of Miami, like one of their podcasts actually is wishing for Jordan to get hurt. I clipped it. I have it. And it was that weekend, even though like they, of course, like Florida State's playing North Alabama or whatever. This wasn't Miami week. This was after Miami week, which is why it's just even worse. So I clipped that. I've got it. I'm gonna get all that stuff out in a bit.
Awesome. Well, man, we're getting pretty late on here. I could talk for hours and hours and hours, and I know Chris and everybody could, but everybody's busy. We appreciate you all for joining us. We'll probably wrap this thing up and hopefully do another episode later in the week. Guys, it's a super, super, super busy time. Transfer portal's coming up, early signing day. It's going to be more and more content, and y'all just stick with us. You know, you heard about all the different podcasts, all the different shows Chris is going on. I couldn't ask for, a better group of mentors and peers here. We're all about having, a good experience for all you guys and lifting each other up. So we appreciate all the support, everybody that's here today, and we'll see y'all down the road. Love you guys, man. Go Noles.
Thanks, guys.